scrolling endlessly, saying yes when every instinct screams no, sacrificing sleep for a little more screen time. These small habits seem harmless at first, almost invisible, but over months and years, they quietly chip away at mental health, eroding resilience, joy, and emotional balance. Understanding these subtle patterns is essential, not just to survive, but to thrive. What follows is a deep dive into the behaviors that may be silently sabotaging the mind and why they have such a powerful effect. One of the most common habits is constant comparison. Picture a morning scroll through social media, friends' vacations, colleagues' promotions, strangers' highlight reels. Each post triggers a tiny spark of envy, inadequacy, or self-doubt. Psychologically, the brain struggles to differentiate curated reality from personal life. Social comparison triggers stress responses, diminishes self-esteem, and can even exacerbate anxiety or depression. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to measure worth against external validation rather than personal growth. This is why comparison, even in small doses, can slowly wear down mental well-being. Then there's the habit of suppressing emotion. Imagine holding frustration, sadness, or fear inside because it feels inconvenient, embarrassing, or overwhelming. Every suppressed feeling is like a weight added to the mental load, accumulating silently. Psychologically, repression increases internal tension, reduces clarity of thought, and can trigger physical symptoms such as tension headaches or digestive issues. Avoiding emotional expression doesn't eliminate the feeling, it magnifies it beneath the surface. People who habitually suppress emotion often appear calm, but internally, they are operating under constant pressure. Another hidden saboteur is chronic overcommitment. Taking on more tasks than one can handle, saying yes out of obligation or fear of disappointing others, can feel noble, but it's mentally taxing. Cognitive psychology shows that executive functioning, the ability to manage attention, decisions, and self-regulation, is finite. Stretching it thin over long periods leads to mental fatigue, irritability, and burnout. Chronic overcommitment also reinforces a sense of lack of control, fueling anxiety and emotional exhaustion. Here, the habit isn't a single overwhelming event, but the accumulation of small yeses that outpace the mind's capacity. Procrastination is deceptively harmful. It feels like a minor inconvenience, a deadline approached last minute, a report delayed, or a call postponed. But procrastination creates a continuous low-level stress. The brain anticipates the future task and triggers a stress response in advance, keeping cortisol levels slightly elevated. Over time, this chronic tension weakens resilience, disrupts sleep, and amplifies feelings of guilt or inadequacy. For habitual procrastinators, it isn't just about laziness, it's a stress loop that quietly undermines mental stability. Perfectionism also plays a critical role. Holding an internal standard so high that nothing ever feels good enough can slowly erode satisfaction and joy. Every accomplishment is overshadowed by imagined flaws. Every decision is accompanied by fear of error. Neuroscientific studies show that perfectionism can amplify the brain's stress circuits, heighten self-criticism, and reduce motivation over time. What begins as a drive for excellence can transform into a pattern that exhausts mental energy and fosters chronic self-doubt. Neglecting sleep is another silent destroyer. Skipping rest for work, scrolling, or entertainment seems temporary. Yet research consistently shows that insufficient sleep impairs emotional regulation, reduces problem-solving ability, and increases susceptibility to anxiety and depression. Sleep deprivation weakens resilience to daily stressors, creating a vicious cycle. Fatigue increases irritability, which worsens relationships, which increases stress, and the cycle repeats. Isolation is a subtle but powerful habit. Choosing solitude too often, avoiding meaningful social connection, or limiting emotional support may feel safe, but human psychology thrives on interaction. Loneliness triggers the same brain regions as physical pain. Over time, chronic isolation increases risk for depression, cognitive decline, and anxiety. Even casual social engagement serves as a buffer, enhancing emotional regulation and perspective. Another habit that erodes mental health is constant negative self-talk. Repeating phrases like, "I can't do this," "I'm not enough," or "this is hopeless" creates a mental loop that reinforces feelings of inadequacy. The brain begins to treat these internal narratives as reality, shaping behavior and emotional response accordingly. This pattern often coexists with perfectionism, procrastination, and overcommitment, amplifying their negative impact on overall mental well-being. Ignoring physical health also has indirect effects on mental health. Poor diet, sedentary behavior, or neglecting exercise might seem minor, but the mind and body are inseparable. Physical inactivity reduces endorphin release, increases stress hormones, and diminishes cognitive flexibility. Nutrient deficiencies can impair brain function and mood. The result is a slow, almost imperceptible decline in mental resilience. Digital overuse is a modern mental health hazard. Constant notifications, endless scrolling, and overstimulation overload the brain's attentional circuits. Dopamine spikes from likes or new content create a cycle of craving and distraction, reducing focus and increasing anxiety. Over time, attention span diminishes, emotional reactivity rises, and restlessness becomes constant. The very technology designed for convenience can become a subtle driver of mental strain. Ruminating over past events is another quietly destructive habit. Replaying conversations, mistakes, or regrets endlessly keeps the brain in a heightened state of alertness. Psychologically, this activates the amygdala, the brain's threat center, keeping stress hormones elevated and preventing emotional closure. Over months or years, rumination increases vulnerability to depression and anxiety. Finally, avoidance of professional help can silently worsen mental health. Delaying therapy, counseling, or support for fear of stigma or denial allows small issues to compound. Psychological patterns, negative self-talk, rumination, perfectionism remain unchecked, creating entrenched cycles of stress, anxiety, and low mood. Seeking help is not weakness. It's a preventative measure that can interrupt patterns before they become deeply ingrained. These 12 habits, constant comparison, suppressing emotion, overcommitment, procrastination, perfectionism, neglecting sleep, isolation, negative self-talk, ignoring physical health, digital overuse, rumination, and avoiding professional support, often appear harmless, yet collectively, they erode mental resilience, emotional balance, and cognitive flexibility. The good news is that awareness alone can begin the change. Identifying which patterns are present is the first step. Addressing them gradually, with intentional strategies, restores control, reduces stress, and strengthens mental health over time. Which of these habits resonate most? Reflecting on subtle daily choices often reveals patterns that were previously invisible. Understanding these habits is not about self-blame, it's about empowerment. It's about building environments, routines, and mindsets that support, not undermine, mental well-being. Slow erosion doesn't have to be permanent. Awareness, reflection, and small, consistent changes can transform mental health quietly but powerfully over time.